Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Hope everybody's doing great. I hope everybody's staying safe. We are still in the coronavirus season, so everyone should try to stay safe. Yet, all right. Welcome to Laws of Logic. This afternoon is Laws of Logic afternoon. Because I'm a very logical person in the sense that yeah, I'm a very logical person in the sense that I tend to think wide. You get I reason when I look at the world, I look at the wonders of the world. Yet I look at the mountains, study the valleys, look at the seas, but look at history. But even though it's small things, I for don't study history, I don't know what I go to for science class. Yes, I for study history, they blend out with my talents. You get what I'm saying? So I love history a lot. You get? I'm a very logical person. You get what I'm saying? Okay, so what we'll be discussing today is about slavery. Slavery is slavery a choice? Yes, is slavery a choice? That's the topic of today. Can I choose to be a slave? Is it a choice, or is it something that God Himself decided and said, okay, you must be a slave? Get? So the topic today is slavery a choice? Like I said before, I'm a very logical person. I love logics in the sense that I love reasoning. Get? And when you look at the world, you look at the empires that have been ruling the world, you look at the mountains, you look at the valleys. If I look at the seas and you look at recent times, look at the age of enlightenment, advancement, and all those things, as the time progresses, then the world can become a mystery to you. You get what I'm saying? Is slavery a choice? Can you choose to be a slave? Did our forefathers choose to be a slave? Get? So that's the topic that we'll be looking at today. What is slavery? Slavery is in the context of slavery. We're talking about becoming a slave. Get? Serving your master. Get? That's the context of slavery. Now the question is slavery a choice? Can you choose to be a slave, or there's a supernatural force that just makes you a slave to another person? But let's look at this carefully. Even in recent times, since the creation of the world, since even in Bible times, you get what I'm saying? In Bible times, and I think there was a time. The Babylonian Empire, like the world power, like what America is doing right now. It gets, we have different world powers in different different centuries. It gets. We had the Babylonian Empire. From the Babylonian Empire, we had the Medes and Persian Empire. Yes. So after the Medes and Persian Empire, I think we had the Greek Empire. But the Bible itself is a book of history. Apart from being a religious book, the Bible is a book of history. Yes. So the Medes and the Persian Empire, they took over during the time of Daniel, when Daniel was in Babylon. Yes. When Daniel was in Babylon. So that was when he had that inscription on the wall, many tekel Persa. Get? If you read your Bible very well. Yes. So that night, the Medes and the Persians, they took over. So after the Medes and the Persians, we had the Greek Empire. Get? Alexander the Great came, he took over and he had slaves. Get? After Alexander the Great, we had the Roman Empire. Get? Okay, after the Roman Empire, there are some speculations that they have the Mongol Empire and all this stuff. Then the Crusaders started waging wars against Islamic, the Seljuk Turks. Get? So after that time, then we also have the British Empire, and we're having the American Empire right now. So these are the really empires that rule the world. You know what I'm saying? But is slavery a choice? Do you think to become a slave is really a choice? For me, I feel, and this is my own perspective. This is my own perspective. You get what I'm saying? Slavery is for me. It's not really a choice per se. Get? Because when the British came to okay, during the Berlin Conference of 1886, in the quest to come and conquer Africa, when the Europeans they held that roundtable meeting, that Ogoni meeting, and they said let's go and conquer Africa. You get what I'm saying? During that roundtable meeting, they decided let's go conquer Africa. Even then they've been trading with Africa. They've been trading with what's these people say for is the Ivory Coast? No, they've been trading one country in Africa. The British have been trading with them. You get what I'm saying? Even the British have been trading with Then the Benin Empire was a very vast empire now, ranging down to Oyo. I think it was called the Igodomigodo. The Igodomigodo Empire. You know what I'm saying? But is slavery a choice? Do you think slavery is a choice? After this life conversation, I want you guys to go and reason and just think deeply. If you're a very logical person like me, because I love logics, I love reasoning. You know what I'm saying? I love the world. I love the world in the sense that when I look at the history and times by which the world have been, and we are in 2020, you get. Some people don't even know why we are in 2020. If you ask some people what's more of 2020, they don't even know. Yeah, let me even purchase on that. You get. 2020 means it's 2020 AD, after the death of Christ. They call it Anno Domini or Anno Domino. That's 2020 after Christ came to earth, after Jesus Christ came to earth, because the world uses a Gregorian calendar. The calendar we use in the world is called a Gregorian calendar. The calendar was formed by the Pope Gregory. And so that's the Gregorian calendar. That's the calendar that the world uses right now. You get what I'm saying? But although the Islam nations, they have their own calendar. The Islam nations have their own calendar. You get. But the calendar the world uses is a Christian calendar. You get. And that's why I think there was a time in January 1st when the MURIC, that's the Muslim Association of Nigeria, they declared that January 1st should not be a public holiday. You get what I'm saying? When the federal government declared the public holiday on January 1st, they said no. According to their own calendar, January 1st is not a public holiday. So, but January 1st, the calendar the world uses, it's a Christian calendar. It's a Gregorian calendar. You get what I'm saying? So, back to our discovery, is slavery a choice? Do you think you can become a slave? You choose to become a slave? Did our forefathers, did they choose to become a slave? You get? Or is something that God really wanted it to happen? You get? Even in the Bible, when we begin to read the Bible, and we see that, okay, during the times, the Babylonian Empire, there was a time God said he's going to sell his own people as slaves to Babylon. Do you understand? The kingdom of Israel, then the ancient Israel were divided. They had the kingdom of Judah, and they had the kingdom of Israel. The kingdom of Israel capital was Samaria, while the kingdom of Judah's capital is Jerusalem. So the kingdom of Israel was sold to the Assyrians. Yeah, they sold to the Assyrians. You get, and forever they remain lost till now. In fact, they call them the 10 lost tribes of Israel. If you Google on Wikipedia, you tend to see that they are lost till now. They are not together. In fact, we don't even know where they are safe. Some of them have filled the head. Some of them have immigrated. You get, even the Igbos are claiming they are from those 10 lost tribes also. You get, even the guys in America, most of them are from 10 lost tribes. You get. So the Israelites you have in the Jews now in Israel now, those are the ones from the lineage of David. The lineage of David, you get. Those are the ones you have from the lineage of David. Those are the ones from the tribe of Judah. Get. Those are the ones from the tribe of Judah. But the tribe of Reuben, all those guys, they've been exterminated. We don't even know where they are. Okay. So is slavery a choice? Do you think slavery is a choice? Can you choose to become a slave? Get. Did we choose to become a slave to the Europeans? Mind you, Africans were not the only ones that were slaves to the Europeans. You get what I'm saying? The American Empire, that's America now, the United States of America, the 13 colonies of America, there was one slave to the British Empire. Then the British Empire was a very vast empire that controlled the world then. In fact, history said that they have been the empire that ruled the world in terms of tentacles. They had more tentacles, they had more lands, they were able to expand. America was once a slave to the British Empire. 13 colonies of America, they were once slaves to the British Empire, until when King George was a king of the British Empire then. Yes, so they were imposing excess tax on the 13 colonies of America. You know, a colony is a confinement, or it's a government that is being ruled. Yes, it's still being ruled by external forces. Sometimes you don't even have your autonomy. That's still a colony. You get what I'm saying? Yes, you don't have your autonomy. You cannot decide for yourself in terms of rulership. Yes, so those people are still ruling you. That's your slave masters. So for America, they resisted. They said, no, we cannot continue paying this tax. It's not possible. This tax is excess. So that's when the American revolt started. And said, no, we cannot become a slave anymore. We cannot become a slave anymore. Again. So they revolted and they fought. Again. Even the British made their resistance. America also made their resistance. They kept fighting. And as they kept fighting, so Americans, they tend to develop the 13 colonies. They developed themselves. They developed their armory, and they were able to defeat the King George army. So, but the leader of the American, revolutionaries or secessionists, his name was George Washington. So then some people used to say it's George versus George, because the name of the king was King George of the British Empire then, and America, the name of the revolutionaries, just like Nnamdi Kanu now. His name was George Washington. He was a military man. So back to our discussion: do you think slavery is a choice? Can you decide to be a slave, and can you not decide to be a slave? I feel for me, slavery. Let me look at this in the context of wars. In the context of worship. Even in Bible times, they take slaves. They take slaves. There have nobody that have not really been. There's no continent that have not been slaves before. Even the South Americans were slaves to the British Empire. The children of Israel, Israelites were once slaves to Babylonian Empire. The Jews were once slaves to the Roman Empire. So I think that's where God just fashioned everything to happen. Some people say, okay, the God allowed slavery to happen, so God is wicked, just allowed slavery to happen, because slavery is all about power conquest. So once I defeat you, if my country and your country, if we are entangled in warfare, you know what I'm saying? If we are entangled in warfare and I'm able to defeat you, then forget it. I can bring you as my slave. You can become my slave. The fact I overpower you. You know what I'm saying? So that's the concept of slavery. When I have the power and dominion over you, so I control you. You know what I'm saying? So in the process of controlling you, you know what I'm saying? You are subjecting to my own decision. So that's the concept of slavery. That's really the concept of slavery. So when you subject to an higher power, that's the concept of slavery. You subject to an higher power. So in that context, you are the slave, while I am the slave master. So that's really the concept of slavery. So I feel slavery is not really a choice, because Ethiopia. Okay, let's still look at Ethiopia, because Ethiopia resisted. They resisted the Italians. When the Italians came, Ethiopians, they resisted them. Do you know Ethiopia is the only African country? I think it's one of the African countries that have never been colonized by European colonialists. Ethiopia was never really colonized. So they resisted. Then they said, no, you can't. It's not possible. And mind you, Ethiopia was one of the first countries in the world. We had the Ethiopian Empire. Then even in Bible days, Ethiopia has existed since. In fact, Ethiopia is one of the oldest, if not the oldest country in the world. Moses had an Ethiopian slave which he married. If you read your Bible, you see Ethiopian or you see Kush. That's another name for Ethiopia, Kush. They are black people. They are black. So that's why I keep telling people Christianity is not a white man religion. They were black people in the Bible. They were black people in the Bible. The Ethiopian eunuch that received Jesus Christ was a black man. There are others, so many black people from Libya. They were in the Bible. So Christianity is not. You guys stop spreading that rumor that Christianity is a white man religion. It is not a white man religion, though. You get what I'm saying? Christianity is for everybody. It's for everybody in the whole world. So back to our topic: is slavery really a choice? So I feel, in the context of empireship, in the context of world powership, in every decade or in every generation, there's this world power. There's this country that tend to comes out and become the world power. It's like the police of the world. They are the one controlling the world. So they decide, if they see you messing up, they go to your country and they say, oh, man, stop that. So they control the world. So I feel God is in charge of lifting a country up and making them the world power. That is what I feel. That's what I feel. So the world power, in the sense that, in life itself, we cannot really have a balance. Even in your relationship, there's no really balance. You get, you have to be the superior and you have to be the inferior. You get, so the superior and the inferior work hand in hand together. You know what I'm saying? That's why the Bible said the man is the head. You are the head, and the ladies is helpmate. You know what I'm saying? So the helpmate assists the head, get, in running the affairs. Get, so, but there are times the head might not really need to listen to the helpmates, but which is very wrong. Get, the head should always listen to the helpmate every time. It's just like a ship. When you are moving a ship, get, you have the captain of the ship. Get, and we have the one who owns the compass. Get, so the one with the compass is the one assisting the captain on that voyage, on that ship, so that the ship will not collapse or hit a landslide or possibly any other casualties. So is slavery, do you think slavery is really a choice? Slavery choice. I think slavery is not really a choice. Yes, it's not really a choice. It's not really a choice because if God made those countries world power, so that means God made some countries to be lesser. Abi, don't you see what I'm saying? Now, being lesser doesn't really mean you should not develop yourself. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Being lesser doesn't mean you should not develop your human capital. Doesn't mean you should not tap into your untapped natural resources. Get? But being lesser means you are subjugating or how will I put it? You are putting down yourself in a world power, in a world system. Yes. In a higher power. You know what I'm saying? In a higher power. In higher power. Yes. Even Joseph was a slave in Potiphar's house. Yes. But he did not become a slave forever. Yes. So I feel slavery is not really a choice. God made some people slaves. That's what I feel. So even like our forefathers, they were slaves to the British Empire. But the Ethiopians, I'm still mentioning the Ethiopians, they resisted the British Empire. They resisted the Italians. Because when the Italians came to Ethiopia said, no, like, hey, you cannot colonize us. So it's not possible. You can never colonize us. They entered the Northern Protectorate, they colonized them. They came from the south, they colonized. The Portuguese entered Angola, they colonized Angola. Then France took over from Mali and all those French-speaking nations. You get? So slavery is not a choice, and at the same time it's a choice. But it still depends on the context. It still depends on the context by which you look at it. Sometimes God himself allow some nations to become slaves to nations. If you look at the Bible and like I still give the instance of Daniel. When Daniel was telling the king Belshazzar, he said when the handwriting came on the wall, Mene Mene Tekel Ufasin. He said, so he was telling the Babylonian Empire that your time is up. God placed you as the superpower of the world then. But your time is up. Mene Mene Tekel Ufasin. So translating in English. So it means your time is really up. So God used the Persian Empire to defeat the Babylonian Empire. So that's how the Babylonian Empire fell. Until date, you've not even heard of anything like Babylon. In fact, God decided to wipe them out the face of the earth because their sins were too much. Their sins were really too much. That's before the coming of Jesus Christ. Before the coming of Jesus Christ. Even the sins we are committing now was even worse than. Although their own Babylon, the sins were too much. And when it comes to sexual sins, those guys were very good, man. They had their sexual sins were so erroneous that if according to ancient history, according to what I've been reading, if a woman comes to visit her husband, if a foreigner comes to visit a man in Babylon, the man offers his wife as a sex for sex relaxation. He offers his wife. If he does not offer his wife, he can offer one of his daughters and say, okay, Ogbeni, just deal with this one first. You get what I'm saying? Even there's a temple in which ladies go to disvirgin themselves in Babylon. They go there to disvirgin themselves. They go there to disvirgin themselves in Babylon. And it's compulsory. It's like a ritual. When they talk about sex orgies and all those stuff, Babylonian Empire, they're the one that really started all those nonsense. So all those things, it's happening now. It didn't start now. Just that the coming of Jesus Christ has reduced the wrath of God, and God is not willing to destroy the world again. You get, so God just keeps looking at our sins and keep looking at it. Instead of looking at the sins, he keeps looking at Jesus Christ, because if not of Jesus Christ, he could have destroyed everywhere. So you get what I'm saying? I see the dogs want to be on live video. You want to be on live video, eh? Okay, as we are discussing, yeah. Is slavery a choice? Do you think slavery is really a choice? Yes. For me, I feel slavery is not really a choice, but it depends on the context by which you look at it. Depends on the context by which you look at it. You can choose to fight for your freedom. Someone can decide to become a slave. But that's why I said in my last broadcast, I said no man becomes a slave forever. It's not possible. You can never become a slave forever. It's not possible. You can never become a slave forever. Even if God allows you to be a slave, in fact, there's a time you come to your the time of your realization. It's called your realization time. You have to be speaking English language now. Slavery made me to speak English language. You get what I'm saying? Slavery made some persons to speak French. Slavery made us go to school and learn civilizations and learn all the stuff. But as a result of slavery, yes. So I felt sometimes God allowed some persons to become slaves. So someone will say, so Daniel, are you saying that God allowed the way they treated slaves, the way if you watch those ancient videos, the way they treated their black slaves, they tied thing to their neck and they started pulling them down. Again, some of their children, some of their girls were raped by the slave masters. Yes, some women were raped by the slave masters. Some children were molested. Even at their little ages, they've been molested by the slave masters. Yes, so slavery is not really a choice. Slavery is not really a choice. Yes, for me. Because looking at the world in ages past, as the world has been coming, has been progressing, you could see that God allowed some nations to take some nations as slaves. Yes. So God allowed some nations to take some nations as slaves. You could see it every time. So that's why I really said slavery is not really a choice for me. That's what I feel. But you can drop your comments. Probably just drop the comments on my comment box there and see if you can contribute to this topic. It's really very interesting. It's a very logical topic. I listened to a program on Nigerian Info. It's lots of logic. Yes, she's a very logical person, so she discusses issues like this. So that's why I'm asking you guys: do you think to become a slave is a choice? Do you think slavery is a choice? Do you think someone can decide to become a slave? Do you think so? Yes. Looking at where the world has gone, the empires have ruled the world, and even do you know the modern slavery we are doing now? All these house girls we are bringing. Okay, we have house girls go and clean. That's part of modern slavery now. For me, that's what I feel. It's part of modern slavery. You get house help, and especially when you are maltreating the domestic worker. You get when you are maltreating the domestic worker. But what I know is no man remains a slave forever. No man remains a slave forever. The 13 colonies were once slave to the British Empire. 13 colonies of America. They were once slave to the British Empire. But see America today, they developed themselves, they resisted and they say, lie you, we can't. Even the indigenous people of America, the Red Indians of America, they came and they alienated almost all of them. So I don't know if slavery is a choice. So you can decide to become a slave and say, someone is saying, are we not slaves? Slaves to who? Clap side, they are saying, are we not slaves? Who are we slaves to? Are we slaves? You are not slaves now. Since the coming of Jesus Christ. No, let me not say since the coming of Jesus Christ, because even after the coming of Jesus Christ, the British came after the coming of Jesus Christ now. They came after the coming of Jesus Christ. So, and they still carried slave down to America there. They still carried slave. Now, during this George Floyd protests, this anti-racist protest, they are destroying slave monuments, destroying statues in the United Kingdom in advanced climb. For me, it's wrong. How do you destroy? If destroying the slave statues, does it bring back the memory that you are not a slave? I don't understand them. History books are even there online for those guys to even read, without even destroying their statues, or destroying slave monuments. There are history books there for people to read. There are history books there for people to read. So those who that are protesting, that are destroying, they are pulling down slaves, monuments, pulling down slave houses, pulling down all those stuff. For me, it's dumb and foolish. If I want to know about slavery, I'll just Google Wikipedia. Okay, and before you know, it just comes out, and I've seen what I want to see. I've seen what I want to see. And I've seen, and the white man will be able to see that, okay, they are one slave to the black man. So slavery is not really a choice. It's not a choice. Slavery is not a choice. Sometimes I feel God allowed slavery. But God cannot allow you to become a slave forever. That's one of the beauty of slavery. God will never allow you to become a slave forever. You get. If America, the way it's developed, who would tell me that America was once slave to the British Empire? Who would believe that America, the 13 colonies of America, they were once slave to the British Empire? They were once slave to British. But see America now, everybody wants to go to America. Even the British Empire that were slave to America, they cannot even challenge America when it comes to warfare now. They can never. And that is why Africa is annoying me. Africa is really annoying me, seriously. See, I wrote something concerning Africa. You know that when it comes about natural resources, Africa has 30% of the world natural resources. 30% of the world natural resources is in Africa. Africa is mineral rich compared to Europe. Or compared to which other continent again? Compared to Australia. Or compared to South America. Africa is mineral rich. Well, how many of African countries are in the G20? Only one African country is in the G20, and it's South Africa. And the reason why South Africa is even there is because of the presence of the white men that ruled South Africa. South Africa was once ruled by the white men. Those apartheid guys, they refused to leave until they're fighting it. I feel so. So is it that the black man is caused not to develop itself at all after slavery? Is it that the black man is just caused not to develop himself after slavery? The black nations, they don't want to develop themselves after slavery. It saddens my heart. You can become a slave, but no man becomes a slave forever. That's the beauty of this slavery stuff. You can become a slave. During that time of slavery, you'll be learning and probably getting some kind of wisdom, or probably your children will be getting it, and the wisdom will pass down. So at the time when you want to resist, when you say, okay, it's time for resistance, then you resist. You get what I'm saying? So when you are resisting and you regain your freedom finally, and you go to your nation, and you must develop yourself. Nigeria is rich in mineral resources. We have gold, is Zamfara. We have is it bitumen? We have all these mineral resources. Edo State has. Is it Kwara? Is it Kogi State? They have natural resources, but they also want to depend on oil. But oil is just like a cost to this Nigeria. Nigeria is the biggest black nation on earth. And we are not even trying. We are not trying. It saddens my heart, seriously. It saddens my heart. Seriously. Yes. I'm really pissed. We are not trying in terms of building human capital. So that's why when we go to the Western world, when they look at us and they say, this is a black man, and they Google the biggest black country in the world, and they see Nigeria, they will not even respect yourself. They will not even for them. And Nigeria is still behaving like a slave. You are still borrowing. Even borrowing can make you a slave. To borrow makes you a slave. Nigeria is still behaving like a slave. They are still behaving. African countries are still behaving like slaves. That's the way they are still behaving. They are still behaving like slaves. That's the truth. They are still behaving like slaves. So in a nutshell, slavery is not a choice. That's what I know. I know that slavery is not a choice. Sometimes God allowed some people to be slaves. Right? It was not God who sold the children of Israel to Babylon as slaves. Right? But what I know is that you cannot remain a slave forever. Right? So once after regaining your freedom, it's time for you to do something. There is always a freedom fighter. Yeah, there is always a freedom fighter. You get what I'm saying? Even when the Jews were slaves to the Romans, and when the Jews were slaves to the Romans, they revolted now. They revolted. Yes, they revolted and said, we are not slaves again, no. We cannot become slaves again, no. We cannot become slaves again. Even when America, I see the emphasis on America because America is like the world power now. America were once slave to Britain. Yes. The 13 colonies of America, they were once slave to Britain. They were once slave to Britain. So now they are showing their might now. And the blacks, see the logic here. Americans became slave to Britain. And America now developed itself, they now escaped. Now Britain now took slaves, America now took slaves from Africa. They took slaves from Africa, the voyage. They are bringing slaves from Africa, probably Nigeria or Congo or Mali. Get a lot of Europe. They are bringing slaves to America, to Europe, get the Netherlands, all those stuff. You know what I'm saying? So slavery is not a choice. Not a choice. I feel sometimes God allows people to become slaves. God allows people to become. That's what I feel. That's what I feel. God allows people to become slaves. God allows nations to become slaves to other nations. Because the world itself cannot. If everybody in the world is Oga, there will not be need for servants now. There will not be need for servants. You get. But as a servant, you need to develop yourself. That's my own bone of contention. As a servant, you need to just develop your own self. That's just my own bone of contention. I think that's basically what I have in the laws of logic. Like I said, I'm a very logical person. I love when I look at the world, look at the trees, look at history. I'm a very big history fan. I love history a lot. Look at everything and I begin to see, oh God, man, this world is a mystery. The world is a mystery on its own. Yet, and we begin to see God, where are you? God, where are you? One black man was saying, if there is God, so God just allowed white people to take black people as slaves. If there is God, what the man did not know that even white people some white persons have been slaves to some white people before. Yet, even the Babylonians, they were not even that white, but the Jews were slaves to them. The Jews were slaves to the Babylonians. Yet, the Assyrians who took the 10 lost tribes of Israel, those ones nobody knows their root now. Those ones have been exterminated from the face of the earth. So I feel God just allowed all those things to happen. Yet, so for me, slavery is not a choice. Kanye West came out one time and said slavery is a choice. You can resist. But I'm still saying the Ethiopians, they resisted slavery. The Ethiopians, they resisted slavery. Why? Why did Ethiopia resist slavery? But the rest, we tried resisting slavery. The Benin Empire, they fought slave masters. But just that, you cannot fight, you cannot win something that is higher than you. You cannot be something that is really higher, bigger than you. You get what I'm saying? They resisted slave masters. They resisted slave masters totally. But those guys came with sophisticated weapons and they came with enlightenment. They came with so many things. They came with so many things and they were able to defeat you. You get what I'm saying? So I wish you guys well. It's a lot of logic. I just like to be logical. Think. I'm a very history lover. Yes. But after realizing our freedom, Africa should develop itself. It saddens my heart that at the end of the day, Africa has the largest mineral resources when it comes to resources in the world. Africa has majority of it. Yes. But you see greed, you see ethnic disparities. You get some leaders who just loot the masses. Okay, there was a time they said some big men were tapping gold in Zamfara. Yes. Do you know how much revenue gold will generate for this country? For Nigeria. You know the revenue. The slave name of Ghana was called Gold Coast because there are enormous gold in Ghana. But the British, they named that area Gold Coast because that coast had a lot of gold in there. You get. So like Ivory Coast had a lot of ivory. It's so that's I cannot really answer. Is slavery a choice? I cannot say if it's a choice or not. But you can choose to really comment, and I would like to see your comment, please. I would just like to see your comment and constructive comments, probably intellectual comments. Do you think slavery is a choice? Do you think someone can decide to be a slave, or do you think God purposely allowed people to be a slave, to be slaves? Get just like like the way God allowed Joseph in Potiphar's house. Get he allowed Joseph to become a slave there. That he allowed it for reasons. Slavery is a choice. I can decide to be a slave, or I cannot decide to be a slave. Get you can decide to be a slave. You cannot decide to be a slave. Do you think it's a choice? Why some nations have resisted slave masters? Some nations fell to slave masters, and slave masters and slavery and the benefits, or like I say, the advantages of slavery or freedom made those slave nations what they are today. Like I highlighted one, the English we are speaking right now. The English we are speaking right now, it's the education we are benefiting right now was as a result of slavery. They are serving the Almighty God. If not of slavery, who knows? Maybe I could have been serving this tree here as my God. I'll be worshiping the tree, or maybe I'll be tying some supernatural stuff, superstitious stuff around my waist, and I'll be all those African traditional religion now. You get what I'm saying? So, as Clapton, I say, are we not all slaves? Are we not all slaves? I don't really understand. Slaves to who? Why are you slaves to? Yet Jesus Christ has died, and everybody's a free man now. So no one should remain a slave. Nobody should remain a slave. It's not possible. Yet Jesus Christ has died, so nobody should remain a slave. No nation should remain a slave. That's why the fact there are nations with world power, with that world power status, it doesn't really mean other nations are like slaves to them. No, what it means is that they are in charge of the affairs of the world, like they supersede the affairs of the world. Yet, in terms of military, in terms of probably economic power, yet in terms of even I think in terms of technology and advancement. So you understand. So it's time to go now. Ending this live conversation. You get why I brought about this live conversation. I was just thinking this afternoon. I was doing some research about countries, and just reading, and the thing just came to my mind and said, the slavery. Do you think someone can decide to be a slave? Do you think someone can decide to be a slave? Is it a choice, or is it something that you can resist, or is it something that God allows you to be a slave? So that is it. I'm not talking about Nigerian politics for today. Please just leave Obaseki and Oshio quick, Oshio Mole. But they say let's see how it's going to play out. The elections are in September. Let's see how it's going to play out. That's democracy. One was in PDP before, while the other was in APC. Now the other has cross-carpeted with APC. While the former now is in PDP. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to really be fun. But you see, that's the concept of slavery and godfatherism now. Godfatherism is still part of slavery. See, that's what we are talking about. Godfatherism is still part of slavery. Godfatherism is still a form of slavery. And that's what happened to Ambode. You're like a slave. See, when someone is your godfather, it's like, okay, I'm not saying godfatherism does not exist in other developed climes. So I'm not saying they don't exist. But Nigerian and African godfathers, they want to tell you how you bath your children. They want to tell you what to eat. They want to tell you things you wear. They just want to decide for you, which is very wrong. That's Nigerian godfathers. Get what I'm saying? Godfather exists in America. We have godfathers in developed climes. The word godfather is not a Yoruba word now. It's an English word now. So if there was no godfather in developed climes, the word will not come out. But in America, their electoral process have been so designed that even the influence of the godfather cannot really be felt. The godfather, who is Donald Trump's godfather? Who is Donald Trump's godfather? Nobody. Who was Obama's godfather? Let me say some George Soros and all those big guys around, but that's not it. Yes. For Nigerian godfather, somebody will say he wants to be godfather of Edo State. Oshomole, someone that was helped. They helped him become governor. Now he wants to be the godfather of the person that helped him to become the governor of Edo State. Is that also disastrous? As a labor leader, you left labor, you came to Edo State. Those set of people helped you with funds and all those stuff. They helped you. Now, after becoming the governor, you in turn, you help the person to become governor while you went for the national position. And now you still want to play godfather over that person's life. Yes. And you want to decide what he does. You want to decide the nomination. You want to decide everything for the person. It's still a form of slavery. It's still part of slavery. It's still part of slavery now. And Obaseki has said, no, I cannot become a slave forever. Obaseki said, I cannot become a slave forever. I can never become a slave. It's not possible. I can never become a slave forever. You get? Oh, Obaseki. He said he can never become a slave forever. And that's what he's doing right now. So, slavery. See, I think in Nigerian politics, it's high time we began to put service delivery over all this godfatherism stuff. If someone is performing, there's no need of giving him the benefit of doubt. Either he's endorsed by the godfather or not, you should be given a chance to perform. As far as he's performing well, forget godfatherism. And that's why our electoral processes need to be strengthened. Our electoral processes just need to be strengthened, because if our electoral processes are strengthened, then the effect of this godfatherism, it will be low. One Lagos, someone can just be in Lagos and just say, okay, this one will not deserve second term because he annoyed me, because he did something, and he just decide for the whole electorate that this one will not become a second, and he decide he will control the state judiciary, control the state legislature, yet control the words. It's wrong. Very wrong. If you say no to godfatherism, it's also a form of slavery. It's also a form of slavery. Yes. By the time our electoral processes are strengthened, then the issue of godfatherism will be a no-way thing, because number one, okay, the godfather only decides. He can only come and say, I'm endorsing this person. But it's still left to the electorate. It's still left to the electorate. That's the masses to decide and say, this is what we are voting, this is the person we are voting for. Get during our days when we were participating in students unionism, you get that some persons were trying to play godfather. I remember them in my faculty, and some guy said, have I met the godfather and all those stuff. I said, godfather, I said I'd rather resist. You get what I'm saying? Although he did the election, and first one, I cannot. There are two elections. For that same position, there are two voting days. In the sense that the first, I so fought the godfathers that the votes came to it was a tie. The tie was much. You get? But because of service delivery, people knows that this guy has performed in my earlier position, in which they've seen their performance. You know what I'm saying? And they decide to vote based on that. You get? Based on service delivery, not based on godfatherism. Godfatherism is a form of slavery also. You get? We should stop this nonsense in Nigeria. We should stop it. Yes. I'm not saying godfather don't exist in developed climes. Don't get me wrong. You get what I'm saying? Even in Texas, there are people that control the politics in Texas, like the Bush family. Yes. They're the one that they control, like the resources and all those stuff. Of service delivery, no, it's not possible. You cannot trade godfatherism with service delivery. Godfatherism is also a form of slavery. It's also a form of slavery. So Obaseki has chosen not to become a slave forever. Yes, Obaseki has chosen not to become a slave because you cannot become a slave forever. Yes. So back to our discussion. So you can contribute to your own quota by comments. I'm not seeing really comments because some persons are trying to evaluate and think. Because the context of the topic is very broad. Very, very broad. Is slavery a choice? Do you think slavery is a choice? Do you think slavery is a choice? Get? So the context is very broad. You get what I'm saying? Do you think someone can decide to be a slave? Is it possible? Do you think nations just decide to be a slave? Do you think our forefathers just decided to be a slave? So that's the context. So that's Laws of Logic for today. Hope you guys are staying safe, yeah. Don't worry, coronavirus will pass also. This one will pass. This year 2020. We don't know if we should erase this year from our calendar. Oh, but we cannot erase the year. Yet we still thank God we are alive, yeah. That's the when there's life, there's hope. Pandemic. The world will still witness more pandemics. Probably, let's say 100 years time from now, we don't even know. Yet. So it will still go. Those are part of the things. They are part of the disadvantage of living on earth. Okay, even Jesus Christ in the Bible said it that all these things will surely happen. Yes. So goodbye, people. I leave you with this. Go and ponder on it. Is slavery a choice? Do you think slavery is a choice, or do you think slavery is not a choice? To be a slave, do you think it's a choice, or it is not a choice? Thank you. God bless you all. Bye bye. Yeah. Yeah.